Well, oh, do we like this? Oh, that's better. Say hi. Get your bone in your mouth? So I'm undecided of whether or not I like this filming area. I feel like we need to adjust just like a tiny bit. I'm trying to get a happy median between being comfy but also things looking kind of cute, you know? That's kind of good. Just nestling on here. It's a freaking wide open book right here. Just like open pages, and it's just like writing itself, and I'm letting it happen. That's it. That's all. Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm doing a coffee talk with you guys, partly because a lot of you guys were worried that with my coffee talk podcasts coming out that I wasn't going to do coffee talk videos anymore. So I'm settling all your fears and doing the video at the same time. Coffee talks are still going to be a thing on my channel. It's just going to be more coffee talks like abundantly in my life now, because they're going to be both on podcasts every single Monday, and they're still going to be dabbling here and out on my channel. So no need to stress, no need to worry. Coffee talks are here to stay. And today I'm here with my Namaste in bed mug, because to be honest with you, it was very hard to not namaste in bed this morning. Also, I'm filming in my bedroom, so excuse the fluctuating lighting, but I like to use Mother Nature as my filming gear because A, I'm lazy, and B, I like the natural light. So the lighting throughout this video is just gonna fluctuate, but that's okay, because as does life fluctuate. I'm getting all metaphoric before the video's even begun. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about change, and whether it be, you know, good change, bad change, change in our life that we ourselves create, and change in our life that we don't really have much control over, change in our life that maybe catches us off guard or kind of inserts itself into our life without our real wanting of that change or acknowledgement of that change. Lately, and just in general for the next little bit, my life has been and will be changing a lot. There has been a lot going on, even just in the last couple of weeks, with traveling so much and with starting up this podcast now, which I didn't even mention. I will link it down below if you guys want to check out the Coffee Talk podcasts. Even just taking that on as a new project and taking on traveling, and in general, a lot of things in my life have been changing lately, and one of them is one that I've noticed a lot of you guys have started to ask comments about, and it's one that I knew I wanted to address, but I wanted to do it the right way, and it is whether or not Greg and I are still together. And so that is another change that has happened in my life. Unfortunately, Greg and I are no longer together, but we'll get to that story in a second. I'll explain everything, so hold tight, fret not. It's kind of a bittersweet story, like a happy sad story, if that makes any sense. But all in all, my life my life is changing a lot right now, and it's weird because I'm somebody that I actually do really enjoy change, and I think that change is always a good chance to reinvent ourselves and try new things and kind of grow. But it is also for people that maybe get anxious very easily, or people that get overwhelmed really easily, sometimes change can also feel very scary and very daunting. And with all of the change going on in my life, I felt kind of inspired to write out, even just for myself, how to kind of get through change, and then turn it into this coffee talk so that any of you guys watching might pick a piece of knowledge from this and use it in your own life to feel a little better about the changes going on there too. I'm gonna go through 4 full steps that I think are super important for embracing change and dealing with change and kind of making change your bitch, rather than letting it kind of consume you and drag you down and make you feel scared and weary and anxious. And hopefully we'll all make it through to the other side feeling great, feeling like a new person, and excited for the good things that come, even with bad change. So we'll start with the breakup, since I know that's probably the biggest question you guys have. This breakup is a really different type of breakup for me, because I've never had this kind of breakup before, I guess, where it's literally genuinely 2 people that love each other very, very much. But I think, as you guys have maybe even noticed in videos, and it's to neither of our faults, our lives just became so busy and so consumed by the things we were trying to do and accomplish, and unfortunately they weren't naturally meshing, they weren't naturally overlapping, and so it caused a lot of friction, and it caused a lot of time apart between the 2 of us. We have such a deep love for each other, and we parted so amicably and so maturely and with so much love and respect for each other. We're both kind of wanting to be in separate places but also together at the same time, and neither of us can be 2 places at once. And so it started to kind of create a bit of friction and resentment towards each other that we both agreed we wanted to kind of call an end to now, so that we can walk away still having that love and that respect for each other, rather than let it get to a point that we kind of taint our entire relationship with resentment because we're fighting so much, which is taking away all the time that we could have used to kind of love each other, if that makes sense. And so we both just agreed that our timing is awful. Our timing is terrible. The things we want aren't aligning, and what I want and what he wants, and me wanting him to have what he wants and him wanting me to have what I want, but those wants not being the same thing. I hope this is making sense. I don't know. This is still very fresh, so bear in mind. But it's for that reason my life is about to change, and my life is changing, and my life has been changing. And for that reason, I've written up some good old tips to get through that change and get through any kind of hardship or transition in your life. And if you want to hear said tips, then just keep watching. That was literally the longest intro ever. Number one is to find the faith. No matter what you choose to believe in, for me, I like to believe that everything happens for a reason. And even when you try and think of things that could have gone differently, things that you could have done differently, things that would have created a different result for you, I think that that's just kind of eluding our thoughts and playing a trick on ourselves, like a really mean trick on ourselves, to believe that anything could be different than what is already presently happening. And so when you have that belief that everything happens for a reason, it gives you that strength of faith to think that, you know what, this sucks, this is really sad, or like this is really hard to kind of go through, but maybe there's a reason that it's happening. This all had to have happened for a reason. This all had to have had some sort of significance or been some sort of stepping stone to something that I don't even see coming yet. And so with that, you make yourself feel even just an inch better about it, or help yourself to accept the change rather than wonder how you could have made it have any other sort of outcome. I think when you have faith in yourself and you have faith in your life and your timing, even when change comes around that you don't want to fully open yourself up to or welcome with open arms per se, you still let it happen, knowing that there's a reason that it has to be happening, and that with that faith that you feel that you'll make it through, and that faith that you feel that there's a reason that this is stepping you to something possibly better, or something different, or something that you need to do, or a place you need to go, then even though the change is hard and even though the transition is bittersweet, you kind of have an understanding, or you kind of have that bit of backbone to help you push through it and get to the other side of that change so that you can see what's coming next. Number two is to find the humor. And it sounds contradictory because I feel like when we're talking about when it's bad change, or when it's hard change, or hard transitions, or kind of crappy things going on in our life, it's not always the easiest thing to do to find some humor in that. Because how do you laugh when you're going through a breakup? How do you laugh when your childhood house is being sold? Or how do you laugh when your parents are getting divorced? Or how do you laugh when someone you care about is kind of struggling? Or how do you laugh when you lose somebody or they pass away? How do you laugh when things aren't going the way you want, but ultimately you almost kind of just have to? You have to find the humor, and you have to suck all of that heaviness off of it and find that little piece of humor in the fact that life is all about balance. There has to be a bit of suffering for us to work through to then find that light and to kind of build ourselves to a greater standpoint and a greater presence on earth. That was very preachy, but I feel like I'm speaking from a soul, so just let me keep flowing. For instance, I'm just going to keep rolling off of this story because it's obviously the biggest change going on in my life right now. But even when Greg and I were going through and talking about everything and talking it all out and kind of coming to terms with the fact that we were obviously going to have to split, we were still laughing and kind of trying to find a little bit of humor in the good times we had and the funny things about why we weren't working and how stubborn we both are and things like that, which just took a lot of the heaviness off, and it helps to give you a new perspective, and it helps to make things not feel so heavy and so serious all the time. And it just kind of helps you balance those emotions. It helps you balance out how heavy you feel with just a little bit of lightness that can bring your equilibrium to a little bit more of an attainable spot to help you kind of coast through this transition that you're going through. You can still be sad, and you can still feel all of the feelings that come with hard change, and find a little piece of humor in all of it. It doesn't mean that you have to just laugh and ignore your feelings or ignore the emotions that come with it. It just means that through that sadness, try and lighten the mood every now and then and find a little bit of humor in it. If for nothing than just to lighten the load on like your chest and your heart and your mind for a few seconds, and just kind of laugh it off a little and shake up your bones and just get different changes and shifts of energy coming through you, even if it only lasts a millisecond. Number three is one that I've spoken of before, but it's to focus on solutions instead of focusing on the problems. And I say this one because it has been a huge mantra or affirmation for myself lately that's really pulled me through a lot of difficult obstacles that I've been facing. I find when I tend to dwell on my problems, I turn into a bit of a victim mentality, and I start to feel bad for myself, and I start to feel sad, and then, like I said, you want to namaste in bed because you're just so focused on all of the things going wrong that you don't even have any sort of clarification of how things could potentially go right, or how things are still going right in other areas of your life, or how there's always something you can do about the problems that we face, even if it's something that's completely different from the problem that's going on. For instance, with going through a breakup, and I'm using that again as an example because it's the freshest change in my life, but with going through a breakup, I could focus on that lack of someone being there. I could focus on how much I miss that person, or I can take that energy and kind of channel it into creating something, trying something new, or starting up a new hobby, or using that force or that feeling or that emotion, because emotions like that during especially hard change are so strong that it can give you such breakthroughs in other areas of your life if you can take it and channel it somewhere else. So focus on finding a solution rather than focusing on how sad you feel about your problems. It helps you feel more level-headed, and it helps you look at things a little bit more honestly, and it helps you kind of have your own back through things instead of feeling like you're waiting for somebody to come along and make you feel better, or waiting for your problems to just kind of disappear. It puts you back in the driver's seat, and it gives you the chance to make something out of the lemons that are being handed to you. And above all, at the end of the day, it gives you a sense of hope to kind of hold on to as well, because when you focus on a solution, even working towards that solution, even thinking about that solution, even brainstorming possible solutions is like the little glimmer of hope in an otherwise kind of hard or heavy or sad situation. Tip number 4 is to face your fears. Now, I read a quote today, I actually tweeted it, for those of you guys that have me on Twitter. I read a quote this morning that said, "The fears we don't face become our limits," and it shooketh me to my core because I realized how true that statement is. When there's something you're afraid of and you hide from it, it becomes a limit. It becomes something that guards a door to the other side of your fear. Wow, that was super deep. I didn't even know where that one came from either, guys. This is like, see what I mean? Hard change brings up a lot of like heavy emotion and breakthroughs. It's true though, I guess you could look at your fear kind of like a demon or a monster or a dragon, whatever is least scary to you, guarding a door, and that door is one that you need to walk through. But when you hide away from your fears and you don't face them, then you can't get to the other side of them. And when you do face them, you realize that we can't let our fears shrink us. We can't let our fears confine what we consider our safe place or our safe haven, because then we're asking ourselves to fall into these really dark and heavy places that become very difficult for us to get out of. And that can be the dark and heavy place of a victim mentality. That could be the dark and heavy place of depression. That can be the dark and heavy place of not wanting to get out of your bed, or not wanting to face the problems or the obstacles in your life, or not wanting to grow past the things that we're not willing to accept yet. And so when we kind of accept that those are our fears and then we face them, we take away all their power. And with facing our fears and with accepting our fears, we surrender our belief of having any kind of control over what happens in our life, and we kind of let our path reveal itself, and instead we walk along it and we make the best of every high, and we learn what we can from every low, so that we're constantly growing as we take each step forward. And we stop letting our fears haunt us along the way, and we stop letting the things that we're scared of, whether it's being alone, or whether it's missing somebody, or whether it's moving somewhere new, or being outside of your comfort zone, or having to push yourself for something that you maybe didn't think you were ready for. And so when we face those fears, and when we're honest with ourselves and we're just doing the best we can every step of the way, and trying to kind of make the most of the lemons handed to us. I think I tweeted something once that was like, when life hands you lemons, ditch them and grab a latte. So when you take those lemons and you toss them in the trash and you grab yourself a latte and you get all hyped up, you know, focus your mind on the next project, those fears stop becoming limits, and that faith is easier to hold on to, and the humor kind of seeps its way into your mind, and you find yourself laughing when you thought that you were just devastated, and you find solutions popping through where you once only saw problems, and suddenly you're on the other side of that door and you've made it through, and you look back on what you're learning right now in this moment, and you understand then what you're only learning right now. And that's all you can do. That's all we can ever do. That's all any of us can do. It's all I can do in this situation. It's all you can do in this situation. It's all, as human beings, when we go through anything, it's all we can do. There's no way to think yourself through it. There's no way to make them disappear. You just gotta take it day by day. You gotta take it step by step, and you just gotta trust yourself and believe that there has to be a reason it's happening, and learn from it and move forward knowing that odds are you're probably going to face a few more obstacles, but each time you do, you get that much better at getting over to the other side of the obstacles and seeing what flowers wait for us on said side. I bought myself flowers today, that's why I said that. Right now I'm hoping for some lilacs and Gerber daisies, and I would even take a couple 4-leaf clovers. Maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. So there you have it. That was my coffee talk today on change. I hope that I was able to take the way I was kind of feeling inside and put it into words well enough that were easy to follow. And also I hope that this gives you just a little bit of insight as to why I've been a little all over the place lately. Sometimes I'm answering comments, sometimes I drop off the face of the earth for a day or two. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out, you know. Find a little bit of gratitude for something that I am really happy for, like Bentley or you guys, or being able to create, being able to take that feeling or take that hardship in my life and be sitting here and creating a video about it. It makes it a lot easier for me to just like ease away that overwhelm and trust that there has to be a reason all of these things happen. There has to be a reason. There has to be some sort of balance in life, and no matter what your path, I think if you have good intentions and you go at things with a good mindset and you just try and be a good person along the way, you'll end up somewhere good no matter what. So you just gotta have that faith and that trust and just keep walking and get those pedometer steps in, you know? If you guys are going through any kind of change and you want to talk about it, I feel like our community is so loving and like nourishing, and we all give such great advice. Even your guys' feedbacks on these videos give so many more perspectives that I didn't even go through yet. So be sure to pop those down below and we can create a very loving and happy space to talk about all the weird and odd change and how chaotic and crazy life can feel sometimes, because everybody's got crap going on. Everybody's got something to deal with or something to work through. And aside from that, I'm doing well considering and channeling all this energy I feel into work, which has been really fun. I mean, that's about all the info I have for you guys today. This week's, I think, podcast episode was all about trusting yourself, so definitely check that out down below if you want to give it a listen. I'll leave all of the information for my podcast there. And aside from that, I will see all of you guys in Sunday's video. Bye, guys.
Sometimes I feel so